Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a great one lined up for you today. Listen to these headlines here. First of all, how about Songbird? We're going to talk about that in the airdrop. Triffin dilemma from Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah, talking about the US dollar here. Ripple, will the Bank of France be next to launch the CBDC off of their private ledger? And how about Ripple partner enables cross-border payments? It just keeps going like the Energizer Bunny. And guess what else we've got? SEC versus Ripple update. Ripple files a response to the fair notice defense. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at @BackupBradleyAbove, and everything that we're talking about here today. 1.897 for the cryptocurrency market cap collectively. We're off by 2.35%, and a lot of that has been in the last few hours here today. Bitcoin now is really dancing around 40,900 plus, but we could see that if the trend continues, Bitcoin's going to be in the 39,000 range in another hour or so if this continues. Ethereum right now almost 3,000 flat. We see Solana coming in at $133 and change. We see Cardano is $1.11. XRP is now 72 cents, off by more than 13% in the last 7 days. Right now we see a low of 0.7047 on the bottom and 0.7690 on the top. The numbers, ladies and gentlemen, are brought to you by Link2, Private Investing Made Simple. Listen up, everyone. If you're accredited, you got a chance to get a real deal here. They're doing an XRP special because that's how much they believe XRP is currency. If you use your Uphold wallet and use crypto or funds from your Uphold wallet to purchase Just Egg on what they're calling Meatless Monday, you will get back $1,000 worth of XRP in your wallet. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? And let me tell you something. If you're not accredited, go to this website and register with them because you will get access to $100,000 or more than $100,000 worth of information, data, analytics breakdown of all these companies that they cover. And I want to remind you guys, they're not a broker. They're not interested in just like selling something to you and making money off of you. They're a principal investor. So they hold more of whatever it is you're looking to buy because that's how they get it to begin with. They buy it and then they're able to give it to you through an SPV. It's an incredible company with really great people. And I tell you, you know that this market may be down right now in crypto and in across the board. But when is the best time to buy? When prices are going up or when prices are actually down? Just a thought. Make sure you check them out, link2.com. Let's get into it. We start right here. Oh, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, as they say, apparently. Jamie Dimon's son-in-law called it a $21 million dispute between Apollo Group and an oil company here. And basically, what's interesting about this, and I shared this information a few weeks ago, that Jamie Dimon's son-in-law, married to Jamie Dimon's daughter, obviously, right, is working at Apollo with none other than Jay Clayton. We know that JPMorgan has been responsible for quite a bit of manipulation in the Treasury bond, U.S. Treasury bond market and the metals market. Not even up for discussion. Well, you have to wonder if anything is going on here. With basically the assertion that somebody got cheated out of $21 million to an explosive arbitration claim from Mercia filed last month. Now, we don't have much more details on ongoing here, but it just looks like, and obviously optics, speak louder sometimes than the actual facts. So we need more facts, but it does look like there's some more maybe manipulation taking place here. People close to Apollo denied that any expenses paid by Varen's company were inappropriate, yada, 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 in this transaction and deal. We need some more information here, but nevertheless, we're tracking it. We're going to keep an eye on it. There they are right there. We'll see how it goes. Jay Clayton and Apollo Management Group too. I don't know. There's a lot here. Well, there's a lot here too. This is Gary Gensler, and as you may have guessed, he was on CNBC Squawk Box, and he refuses to say if Ethereum is a security or not. Let's take a look at this. Shout out to ProCoin News. They are the best cryptocurrency curator on the planet, bar none. No doubt about it. Gary Gensler's comments, like much what we've heard before, but you want to hear how he's laying it down this day, is we don't get involved in these type of public forums talking about any one project, one possible circumstance, and give legal advice over the airways that way. They don't do it that way. Gensler says that thousands of cryptocurrency projects are trying to raise money from the public, but it is important for them to share a relevant set of disclosures with investors. Hey, we don't have a problem with that, Gary. The problem is that, Jay Clayton, William Hibben, and the rest of the SEC staff voted to let Ethereum get away with the initial coin offering, which, by the way, when your sorry ass was teaching as a professor at MIT, you realized with the utmost clarity, and you taught it to the students that are moving into this next generation of professionals in this industry, that you understood clearly that Ethereum was a security, but yet today you're having trouble speaking on it, right? The SEC boss also bemoaned about the lack of compliance within the industry. Well, that's your fault. That's your fault. You should be able to make this happen. You should go back and right the ship when it comes to Ethereum. Why has there never been a public audit on Ethereum Foundation for the initial coin offering, the first initial coin offering ever done? That should happen immediately. And then he says way too many claiming cryptocurrency projects that are securities are trying to masquerade as something else in order not to go through the hassle of registering with the SEC. Oh, you mean like registering as a product in Switzerland and then doing a fundraise and teaching those investors how to disguise their accounts so it could actually look like it was more decentralized with more investors than there actually were? Is that what you mean, Gary? This is despicable, to be perfectly honest with you. And while all of that's happening with the SEC, and we're about to get to some information too with a new filing from Ripple in the SEC versus Ripple on the fair notice defense. So hang in there. This is Robert Kiyosaki, and we've covered this many times on this channel, the Triffin dilemma. Okay. Now, we can all say what we want about the digital revolution, the fourth industrial revolution, the new internet of value, what some people call Web3. But the impending doom here for me on a macro level is that there is a huge stress on the US dollar to serve as the global reserve currency and a national currency at the same time. That stress, when you adjust either national policy or international policy to accommodate for either position, causes an adverse effect to the other. That is called the Triffin dilemma, and we're running up against it, most economists are now saying, Jim Rickards, Barry Eichengreen, and others, that the dollar is so stressed that something needs to be done to alleviate the US dollar dominance, and then, of course, deal with the spillover shocks of that adjustment, albeit a devaluation, right? Delinking of currencies from it in some instances, because remember, some smaller countries actually link their dollars to the US dollar. So that issue would have to be dealt with as well, right? So in this respect, we're going to hear Robert Kiyosaki point out that the Triffin dilemma is a huge problem, and it is really guiding him in where he makes his choices in investments today and why he's in Bitcoin, real estate, and other things that are asset-based investments.
But Jim Rickards talks about a thing called Triffin's dilemma. Triffin's dilemma took place in 1944 when the US dollar became the reserve currency of the world. And what that meant was the US dollar was screwed anyway. So one is I'm a gold bug and a silver bug and a Bitcoin bug and all this. I just don't trust the Fed. And all these people say, oh, don't fight the Fed, ride with the Fed. They're full of it. And so when I listen to Jim Rickards, it's about Triffin's dilemma. We always have to run a deficit. And now we can't run it much longer. So more than inflation or deflation, is that the euro dollar market is now, as the index has inverted. Every time that has happened, something bad has happened. That's what I'm concerned about.
I just want to talk.
And there you have it. And shout out to Daniela Cambone and Stansberry Research for having such amazing guests on her show. She would be a good person to talk to, actually, and interview her. I would love to speak to her on my channel for sure. Let's take a look at this right here. Ripple launches cross-border payments platform in the MENA region. I covered this morning, but it's to set the tone for the next week pieces of news as a reminder for anybody who didn't see the morning's video. It's through the People app, right? The PYYPL, which is pronounced people, which is helping to accelerate, cross-border payments, cheaper, more efficient, scalable, the whole deal. And basically launching this in that region to really benefit Ripple. I think this is no greater way to, put forth Exhibit A for evidence to the SEC and the court and the judge to say, the SEC claims that XRP has no use case. Try explaining this away. Right. So with that being said, quick reminder, we know that there's a private ledger for which Ripple is being used by the Bhutan Central Bank and the Bhutan province to launch their CBDC on. We also know that the Republic of Palau is going to be launching their CBDC, which is going to be US dollar backed, by the way, right? That's a big deal. And what else do we know? There is talks now, an assertion, if you will, from Ratha Kahneman here showing us that the Bank of France is in fact exploring Ripple and being considered by the Bank of France for a CBDC as well. That is exciting. You can see right here, private ledger for CBDC. Ripple claimed that it can handle tens of thousands of transactions per second in the initial phase, which can be increased to hundreds of thousands of transactions per second over time. How about that? Shout out to the Ratha comment on that, but we're not done. Well, we're not done. And this just came back out. We know Ripple is partnered with Tranglo, and it is enabling instant cross-border payments to Hong Kong now. Look, this again, evidence A, evidence B, exhibit A, exhibit B, right? All of this is, obviously, I would imagine, by Ripple's team going to be submitted and say, well, the SEC says we have no use case. Somebody try explaining this then, because it is being really used all around the world. And I believe that really points to the understanding that this legal case is a vetting process. You've heard me say it many times, because we need legal precedent to get the ball rolling here. Then you can draft legislation that will accommodate not only Ripple and XRP, but the entire crypto space, because you're not going to draft legislation for one company, right? But, however, I think you come up with a framework of utility coins, cryptocurrencies, yada, 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 these different categories that will become basically like the Howey test, but I believe the Ripple test. And in this growth process of time, it doesn't mean that, look, I believe we get a resolution to this case that is in Ripple's favor, and it could possibly get appealed. And if I understand that correctly, just the way somebody does with a criminal charge in their life, if they get away with a charge and then they're charged again later for the crime from some other different angle or measure, they're out. They're not going to jail until the appeal goes to court, and then there's a resolution in that particular case, right? So I would see a situation where this continues to be appealed over time, probably all the way to the Supreme Court, the way the Howey test was, because it's that important. That's what these payment protocols, these ledgers, the value is in the protocols, are really worth. That's what we're talking about here. The new layers of the internet of information combined with the Internet of Information layers, the TCP, right, the HTTP, the SMTP, the FTP, all of those things that make our experience. Bring in the XRP ledger, bring in the XLM ledger, right, and maybe a couple others, and those will help move and settle value. And I think that's how you really get it done. That's just my vision of it. But let's take a look at here, because there's no guessing what's going on here. This is the one and only James K. Filing. We appreciate you very much for all your insights and information you share. Ripple has filed its response to the SEC's notice of supplemental authority regarding the SEC's motion to strike the fair notice defense. Let's take a look at it. Ripple writes to Judge Torres, and we write on behalf of defendant Ripple Labs here to respond to the SEC's letter notifying the court of the out-of-circuit decision, which is Fife, does not support, it's a different case, separate case that the SEC was citing last week, and that the Fife case does not support the SEC's motion to strike Ripple's affirmative defense that it lacked adequate notice that XRP was an investment contract. The court in Fife determined only that it would not, at the pleading stage, dismiss the SEC's adequately pleaded complaint on the basis of the defendant's due process challenge. The question before this court arises in a completely different procedural posture, whether Ripple's answer plausibly sets forth a cognizable legal theory for its affirmative defense. So it's really showing the clear-cut difference between the Fife case that the SEC was trying to reference for its own support to actually have it struck down, right? So such that it should not or should be permitted to develop evidence and present the defense on a more complete record. That is clearly the case here. Ripple's fair notice defense is firmly rooted in binding second court precedent, so they have cases to cite it, right? And it shows Upton versus the SEC. Unlike in Fife, Ripple is not relying on its fair notice defense to preclude the SEC from taking discovery and proceedings to merits adjudication. Indeed, factual discovery is now complete. So there's another huge difference in this, right? Ripple is simply asking that it not be precluded from presenting its legally cognizable defense on a full record. The law in this circuit is clear that an affirmative defense to a claim may only be struck where there is no question of law which might allow the defense to succeed. And it cites some cases here under the appropriately demanding standard. Any dispute or substantial issue of law requires denial of such a motion. It goes on to say here, even if Fife, an out-of-circuit decision that is not binding on this court, supported the SEC's position, and it does not, that still would do no more than create a dispute of substantial issue of law requiring denial of the SEC's motion to strike. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Basically, the SEC is trying to throw the kitchen sink at this thing because having the judge rule in favor of the fair notice defense for Ripple is going to be extremely damaging to the SEC. Some people even ask and wonder, will they have a settlement before the judge even rules on that? Because of what that could mean for precedent. Right? These things are really coming to a head. Remember, expert discovery ends January 19th, or I believe it either ends or they start hearing from experts on the 19th, one or the other there. So there is a lot that is about to start to unfold, as well as the judge's rulings on things like this motion to strike the fair notice defense, which I hope does not happen. That's going to do it for me. That's your update on this day. January 10th, 2022. Things are heating up, ladies and gentlemen. Even if the market is not. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below. And don't forget to check out I Trust Capital. It's the best gold, crypto, silver IRA on the planet. Just 1% trade fee. You can transfer your Bitcoin IRA or crypto IRA to I Trust in kind, which means send it right on over. No problemo. That's what they can do for you. And so many other things. Lots of assets on that platform, by the way. Make sure you check it out. No monthly fee. I'll catch all of you on the next one.